This is so annoying. Darn you, new version of Exploit. Darn you. I wonder if I can just download the old version of Exploit, because right now it'd be much easier than dealing with this stupid thing all the time. Anyways, down to the bottom right hand side of the map, we do have our Red Zone player representing Team Liquid here. Now in this ZVP is Snute. Snute's come out fairly frequently for Liquid in the Team League, and I remember him bringing the victory home for them against Invasion eSports, for example. He's come out a few times, and he's quite often actually the first player out for them to pick up pretty swift victories. And then, of course, they've also got their the rest of their European powerhouse behind them. Bunny, TLO, Rhett, and Mana have been, together pretty much unstoppable so far in this season. So, been fun games to watch. Again, Patience has been the only real player to really put his foot in the door against this team and to be like, yo, I don't like you winning all the time. In the top left corner, from Karnage eSports, we do have Eiki, the Norwegian Protoss player, making this a battle of Norway. And with a Forge first down on his ramp, it looks as though he's maybe looking to try and cannon rush here, but as he comes into the natural, he'll see a lack of a hatchery first, and so we'll probably just be going into a Nexus first instead here. Well, not a Nexus first, but a Nexus straight after the Forge, instead of trying to cannon rush. No real gain from cannon rushing a player who has already got a spawning pool down. I mean, it can kind of work if you can really hide it for long enough, but on this map there's no way you can hide it really in such a way that you can kind of block the cannons or anything like that. So we just see Eiki just coming in, and he takes a very slightly later Nexus at the cost of potentially maybe, because he could have maybe tried to cannon rush Snute here. So, yeah, just going to be a bit of a slow opening then, as ZVP always seems to kind of have the slowest openings of most games. Unless we see a cannon rush or anything, it's generally a little bit, we don't really see too much going on in the very early stages. But let's see how this game opens up. Shout out to a couple of guys hitting the follow button on Twitch already today, guys. Shout out to, there's a bunch of, there we go. Shout out to Captain June and Drozen. Thank you guys for the follows. Glad you're enjoying the show, and of course do hit that follow button if you're enjoying the show, or if you do enjoy the rest of the show today and you want to see when we go live with all of our other SE2 Improved Team League matches. Of course, we're getting so close to the playoffs now, and that's going to be very, very exciting as well. We've got the SE2 Improved Winter Series. We're going to finish that up soon, I promise you guys. It's kind of an issue now because I wanted to do it this week, but then everyone's practicing for WCS Challenger League and stuff, so it's not the best of time to try and run a group, really. And then next week is WCS Challenger League and Gfinity. So what we'll try and do is the couple of days following Gfinity, we'll try and get the group played, and then we'll try and get the finals played a few days after that. And hopefully we should be able to get it done quite quickly once we actually get a little bit of space, where there's just not a bunch of events that we're running into. So not really too much going on right now at the start of this game. Once again, just third hatchery on the way up for Snute, coming in a fairly standard timing. I mean, 3 hatch before gas is a pretty common way to play out a ZVP when your opponent opens with some form of Forge expand. And without the gateway coming down immediately, it means your warp gate is not going to be super fast, and so you're generally not going to be hitting at a timing where the Zerg will need the early Zergling speed or anything along those lines. And there's not much to gain from having early Zergling speed either, other than, well, basically just wasting your own money and wasting your own economy, because you're not really going to break through here unless you're really going to go for some form of dedicated bust. I mean, you can rely on a mistake from the Protoss player to not have a complete wall off, or to have a little gap and the Zealot be off, not on hold position or so, but you don't want to rely on luck here at this sort of level. 3 extra gates being added on here right now, though, by Eiki. He does have that Forge research in +1, and this could lead into a bit of a pressure from him. I mean, he's already got 2 Sentinels out and a 3rd on the way now. Does he have a Mothership Core? No, he doesn't. So this is kind of interesting, because if he had a Mothership Core, I'd like to believe he's going to try and pressure a little bit here, but he doesn't, and so he's not going to really have a recall available, which makes it very risky to actually move across the map. He is currently boosting that warp gate though, so we'll keep an eye on this. He's taking his extra gases, so I mean, he's got a plan behind this, and it looks as though he's just getting them gateways up just in case he should need some warp-ins to help defend. He has got his Twilight Council coming down, and looking as though it's just going to be very standard +2, Blink on the way, and very, very standard stuff, really. I mean, there's the probe coming across, 3rd base going to be coming down, and Eiki just going to be taking this into the macro game against Snute here, who himself is just starting to get his tech rolling here on the field. His lair starting up now, his Zergling speed coming up as well. and 4 extra gases, so going all the way up to 6 gases. And now, I don't know if you guys were watching Kung Fu Cup yesterday, but Snute played some really cool ZVP games in that, using the new Swarm hosts. So it's going to be quite interesting here to see what exactly he might try and go for, what composition he's going to try out, because we've seen so many Zerg players lately trying different things, and we've seen Roach Hydra of course make a bit of a resurgence since the Swarm host changed. But what the most interesting thing to me is when we see players actually trying to do play with the new Swarm host, and obviously it's kind of hit and miss because it's nowhere near as tested as previous styles. I mean, even like something like Ling Ultra is something which we've seen a fair amount of recently, and that's kind of well tested because that was a meta, that was a composition which was very common way back, kind of in the end of, I think we were talking about earlier, like end of 2013 or so. So it's kind of interesting to see how these guys kind of head into these games and what kind of compositions to sort of go for now. And but again, most interesting to see if people can make the Flying Locust work, which Snute was doing yesterday, as right now he has just got a Hydro Den finishing up here, Infestation Pit Battle finish as well, and this is very much looking as though it's just going to be a very fast hide, so that he can head into his Roach Hydra Viper composition and use that for the early stages of this game. There's still potential, of course, and almost a necessity for him to tech switch out of this at some point, whether to be into Ultras or something else. I mean, Roach Hydra Viper, it's okay, but I mean, it's still not great to just keep on massing up as the game goes on, which is hard, which is kind of tough because it's kind of what you have to do as a Protoss player, as a Zerg player nowadays, unless you go into those higher tech units and maybe start bringing in some infestors, etc. So again, it's just one of those things. Be interesting to see how exactly it plays out here if Snute does decide to transition out of the Roach Hydra and what he might transition into instead. What is interesting for Eiki is that he isn't really going for a Colossus composition. He's actually adding on Immortals right now as his +2 finishes. He's also going to have his Templar Archives finishing up, and well, he really doesn't want to be fighting this here right now, and he's going to lose the Mothership Core. He's going to stick around here to try and fight a little bit, but I'm not too sure. Well, I guess he's got another wave of force field, so he should be okay, I suppose, but that wasn't a great fight for him. He was not ready to fight there. He wasn't really expecting Snute to be over on this side of the map so soon, I feel. What has he actually scouted? Has he scouted the Hive coming up? He's seen the Hive coming up, so probably expecting Snute to just play a little bit more passively until the Vipers come in. Storm being researched here as he's going to push forward once again. Another nice set of forces with Immortal right in the front, going to get taken down pretty much immediately. Templar being pulled back here so that they stay alive, just trying to keep the important expensive units alive for as long as possible. Eiki really needing another warp in right now, and he's actually running out of force fields too. There's 2 more coming in, and Robo does just pop out another Immortal here. These Hydras aren't too well protected anymore, but another big wave of Roaches starting to come forwards, and is Eiki just going to kind of die straight up to this? He very well might. He loses his Forge right now, which gives Snute complete access towards his natural. This cannon looks as though it's about to fall down as well, as without enough force fields, he's just not really able to take this on, and having lost so much in that first fight in the Mothership Core as well, he's lost a lot of his kind of defending abilities, and this attack just came just before he was really ready for it, just before Storm was finished, and before he got like a second Immortal up and so on, before his army really can start to buff up a bit, and this is slightly problematic for him right now. I mean, we're looking at a situation where he's just losing his natural, and there's just nothing he can do about it. He's lost every single probe over here apart from a small handful, and these few units which are moving over into position, they get hit by a storm, and Eiki, well, he might be able to clean up these units in his natural, but the units coming in from behind, they're not going to be stoppable, and Snute takes game number 2 very, very simply there in the end.